Hey everyone, this is Corinne Lafoy, your favorite radio host, your only radio host, and favorite girl, of course, broadcasting to you from the lovely island of Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean on Between the Lines. And you know how we do it here on Between the Lines? Always with gratitude or thankfulness. Because I'm alive, I'm above ground, I'm here to do my show, I'm enjoying interviewing people and learning so much and developing and growing and being my best self. And I'm just so excited. And I have with me Tom. Tom, how do you pronounce your surname?
Tom Fargnoli. It's one of those Italian lasagna things going on, but you can just drop the G. It's easy. Fargnoli, fine.
I'm going to practice it right now. Farnoli. Do I sound
Perfect.
Italian? Farnoli.
Yes, you do. You're perfect. Just don't go into an Italian restaurant and order lasagna. So lasagna. There you go.
I will remember that. Thank you for that tip. And we started off with that tip immediately, people. So let me tell you what we're talking about today, a twist of faith. And you will understand why that is the title of this episode, a twist of faith. And let me tell you a bit about Tom. So Tom is a retired systems engineer, a magician, and he's going to do a bit of magic for us today, a teacher and an ex-deacon, okay, in the Catholic Church. As a software and systems engineer for over 40 years, Tom became involved in making the complex less complex. His ability to simplify things led him to teach visual modeling techniques across the country in various domains, including engineering, retail, banking, and finance. His strength lies in his ability to bridge the gap between various levels of understanding using his simplified diagramming techniques. Now, Tom has turned his attention to writing, and through his storytelling, he connects with his readers who, amidst their chaos and pain, their unpleasant and unexpected experiences, their loneliness and grieving, can find glimmers of hope, faith, love, and peace. Welcome, Tom Fanoli, to
Well,
Between the
thank you.
Lines.
Thank you, Corinne, for having me. Pleasure.
Yes, there may be a bit of a delay, but we're working with it. Don't worry, the recording should be coming out perfectly. So, you're a Catholic, I'm a Catholic, an ex-deacon. For persons who don't understand the Catholic faith, what does a deacon mean? And what are the parameters within which a deacon operates? Because we're talking today about a twist of faith. And a little later down, we're going to be showcasing your website and featuring your book. Okay? So tell us a bit about being a deacon. What has that done for you? Your experience, and what are the parameters within which that operates?
Sure. Well, deacons, as you know, originated way back in during Christ's time in the Acts of the Apostles. Well, actually, right after Christ, they needed more help. The apostles needed help, so they instituted the diaconate, the deacons, who essentially were men who were of good faith, and and so deacons have been around for a long time. Over the years, they became what we call permanent deacons. There's two types of deacons: transitional deacons, those that are transitioning to a priest, and permanent deacons who will always be a deacon. Deacon is an ordained minister, one of the three ordinations: bishop, priest, deacon. Deacons are ordained. They go through a process, maybe 5 to 6 years of study, which includes, theology, scripture, and they become, an assistant to the priest, but much more, they have their own ministries. In my case, I was involved with the hospital ministry. And now a deacon can be married one time. So if the deacon's married at the time he was ordained, he must agree that if his wife dies, he can no longer have another relationship, certainly one that leads to marriage. So he's pretty much celibate at that point, and agrees that he will stay single and celibate. When at the time when that was told to me, I didn't believe that was going to be a problem. In fact, my wife had the problem with it. She didn't like that idea. She said, I don't want you to be lonely. I said, well, what are you worrying about? You'll probably, I'm probably going to die before you. But she did die. And it took me a long time to make a decision. Staying into a ministry that I loved. I love being in a hospital. I love taking communion to the patients, doing magic for them. I loved all of the ministries, the marriage ministry, just taking communion to the sick. But I could not stay single because I just was the type of person after being married for 40 years that I love loving others. I loved having a relationship. And
Mhm.
over a couple of years, that just got to me.
Wow. You said something there a while ago, Tom, that I didn't know. No, I understood from being a deacon. Once you're married before becoming a deacon, you cannot remarry. But what you said a while ago is that you take an oath of celibacy. You cannot have a relationship at all.
No, no, just a companionship relationship.
Wow. That,
Yeah.
what do you mean a companionship? What does
Well, I
that
mean,
mean?
I
Explain.
could certainly have, female companions, but, I still had to remain celibate. I would have to take an oath of celibacy that I would, just like a priest would do.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of people,
Wow. So
most people,
you
even
never thought
Catholic.
about you, yeah, you never thought about transitioning into the priesthood? You would make such a cute priest, I'm telling you.
I thank you. Pardon my cough. Um, well, no, I wasn't ready for that. Plus, it's a whole different formation. It would have taken, I was 65 when my wife passed away, and so it would have
Wow.
taken, well, 65. No, I was 62. So it would have taken another 5 years of investment. And by that time, I just didn't see my calling as far as
Mhm.
going into the priesthood.
Wow. That is a serious commitment and investment you made into your spiritual life. And to
When we
have
were in,
to give up
when we
that.
were in when we were in formation, the nine of us, we became very close. Nine of us were studying to be a deacon, and when they told us that very early in the process, we all looked at each other and like, well, that's fine. We're at the age now that doesn't matter. Um, and my one brother in the program, he said, "Well, can we date?" Because he made light of it and a joke of it, and we laughed because none of us really imagined that happening.
Yeah.
Now, if I was 80 years old,
Wow.
I don't think that would have been a problem. But being 64, 63, whatever I was, um,
Yeah.
I didn't think it would have been a problem. At first, that was, business as usual for me. But as I came home to that empty house, I realized that,
Yeah.
yeah, excuse me, just getting over a cold.
Hmm. Wow. So what sort of, I'm thinking, I'm feeling the energy from you with that sort of spiritual connection and depth of faith that you have, because I see Jesus behind you.
Ah,
So I know you're still practicing the faith, and you're very dedicated. But I'm thinking, what sort of torture and torment you would have gone through to make the decision to turn your back on what you have invested in. And were you feeling any sort of remorse? I'm sure you would have felt remorse or felt like you were letting Christ down by
absolutely. Yeah.
by deciding to turn, yeah, by deciding to turn your back. What was some of the torment that you felt, and how did you overcome that? How did you resolve that?
Well, you said the right word, torment. It was torment. After losing my wife after 40 years, when anyone loses
Mhm.
someone, especially a spouse, they go through a grieving process. In the beginning, they may not accept it, but as time goes on, they go through various stages. Um, and when I decided to leave the diaconate, actually, I made my decision after getting heart surgery. And I agonized with this decision for 2 years. But then, I went in to get this heart surgery,
Wow.
which was something I never seen coming. In recuperating from that surgery, I kind of realized then that, I really don't want to be alone for the rest of my life. I really miss sharing my life. And that's what loneliness was for me. The lack of sharing, the lack of sharing love and stories and living together, living and striving to worshiping together, living together. But when I made my decision and left the diaconate, it was I felt very rejected. Many priests and many deacons that treated me as if I left the church, which wasn't the case at all. I never left the church. I still have a strong faith and always have had a strong faith, but I just didn't want to be alone. And so trying to go to church after that and watching the deacons, and it was ripping me apart. Yes, it was torment. It was torment in the fact that I felt this rejection. It was almost as if I was grieving all over again. And in some cases, in some way,
Wow.
the grieving was worse than grieving for my wife. And what I mean by that is that my wife died. And obviously, there's that grieving process that we go through. But with the diaconate, since I made the decision myself, and believe me, I prayed, yelled at God for helping me with that decision, and He did. But in many ways, it was the grieving process all over again. Yeah.
Wow. I didn't consider the impact of others' reaction to your decision. I didn't even go there. I was just thinking about you and your decision because I'm thinking, what does it concern anybody else, and why should they judge you for a decision that you make? But yeah, that's just the fallout. And you still stay true to the faith. Some persons might say, if this is the community that I'm surrounded by a decision that I make for my own best interest, then should I stay around with these people? They are not as supportive as I thought they would be. Then I probably was in the wrong crowd. And these are some of the things that make a lot of people move away from the Catholic faith. Because when they make a decision on something that's for their best interest, they are judged and felt, as you said, dejected and ostracized by the community. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. The community, not so much the community as the church itself. The parishioners loved me after 5 years of being a deacon in my parish. When it came time, this was the first experience I had of the rejection. When I made my decision, I wasn't even allowed to say goodbye. I couldn't, I had prepared a little goodbye part of the Mass as far as my homily goes to thank everyone for the opportunity to serve them. And I wasn't allowed to do that. I was pretty much told to kind of disappear. And so I couldn't even say my goodbyes. Normally when someone left the office in the parish, we had a pizza party or a cake wishing them well, but not me. Not me. I was pretty much told to disappear. In fact, I couldn't, I was not allowed to be a Eucharistic minister anymore or a lector. So obviously I left my parish. Yeah, so I wasn't allowed to be part of that parish. So I finally did end up.
What made you stay in the faith, Tom? What made you stay? Tell me. Why? Why are you still in the faith? Tell me.
Well, it's like my relationship with Christ is the key thing that kept me, involved. No matter all of these things that I went through, losing my wife tragically, going through this decision process, the rejection, all of these unexpected types of things. Through it all, I had a relationship with Christ. I did. I talked to Him constantly. I yelled at Him. I asked Him, why? Why? Why can't you help me with this? And next thing you know, I'm in a hospital getting heart surgery, and I made my decision. So maybe He did help me. But thing is, the church has always been part of me as a child. I never understood it. I would go to church when I was a boy. My parents never went to church, but I found peace there. And I didn't even understand what they were talking about. First of all, they're speaking in Spanish or in that Latin. So I just sat there, but I had a peace. It's hard to explain. And somehow that peace has stayed with me through all of these unexpected events, these tragic events.
Yeah.
And I talk about that in the book. And to answer your question, yes, there was times, and there's still times where I'm sad. I still miss my wife, even though I'm remarried now. Interestingly, my current wife, lost her husband after 44 years. And so we kind of helped each other. Sometimes I call her Mary Ellen. Her name's Dorothy. And she calls me John. And my name's Tom. So we understand each other's loss. And we have a relationship together and a relationship with God. So we share. But that's, to answer your question, I've always kept my line of communication open with God. And that's pretty much establishes a relationship with Him. And yes, I didn't always, it wasn't as I expected, for sure. But I felt Him in my life, with the good and bad.
Yeah, you say something really significant there, Tom. Your relationship is with Christ. Even though you are a member of the church or the community, the human beings, the people who are members will always fail you, but Christ will never fail you. And so you have to know what really you're in a faith or in a religion for. Is it to be a member of an organization and to be accepted? Or is it to have a relationship with Christ? You have to decide why you are a part of something. It could be a volunteer organization. It could be anything. Why are you here? What's your purpose? Because that would be the thing when tumultuous times come, rejection, anything, it keeps you grounded. You come back to that why you are there. You come back to that why. Because if you were there to be a part of the community, be a part of the church, be friends with people, when they rejected you and didn't allow you to even be a lector, to do anything else, or to even say a thank you or to throw a party, you would have said, I don't want to be a part of this. And I think this is what is happening in a lot of Catholics' mind that left the church. Their purpose for being in the church was not about Christ. It was about having friends. It was about, feeling accepted, as opposed to that direct relationship with Christ. Because it doesn't matter where you go or who is around you, if nobody is in the church, once you have that connection with Christ is what really matters. And that is what kept you. And I'm thankful that you did. 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 I want to be able to go to, go ahead.
I was, after it all happened, and I was remarried and all, I thought, I'm going to send a copy of my book to the Pope with a letter and saying how much, listen, I enjoyed being a deacon. I understand my vow and everything else, but listen, I'd love to be a deacon again. I still so young enough. I love the ministries. I didn't do anything wrong. I really didn't do anything wrong. Like some people, they get kicked out. I didn't get kicked out. I left. And he actually got the book and said it's a matter for the local bishop. And so then I turned to the local bishop, and no dice.
Lovely. I want.
But you're right. I can still serve people. Well, that's what a deacon does. I don't have to have the fancy robe on anymore. And I don't have to worry about all of that. And so I am trying to get at least the ability or dispensation to give communion out again, so I can go to the homeless, not homeless, but shut-ins, and give out communion. So hopefully the bishop will allow me to do that soon. I'm still waiting for that.
And that's the thing. You said something there. There are different ways of serving. It doesn't have to be as a deacon. You have been trained in all different aspects of the church, and you can serve in different ways, because it comes back, Tom. You are there to have a connection with Christ. You know what your purpose is, you know who your relationship is with, and to God, to Christ, to Jesus, you know, once you are carrying out his work, once your heart is clean, he's not concerned. He's not going to chastise you and say you have to be in the church in order to do my work. You have to be a deacon to do my, no. He is open to all of that. He is open to however you want to do the work of God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and when I look back, and
So
when I
I
look back,
thank you for continuing in the faith. Let me showcase.
I, I, I
Yeah, go
look
ahead.
I look back to when I was a deacon and what I loved doing the most, and that's preaching, putting a homily together. So that's why how this book came about. It's a story. It's my story, but I had a little bit of fiction to make it interesting. A reporter's interviewing me, and turns out that reporter turns out to be a very special person, and so that's a little bit of fiction. But I intend now to continue preaching through my writing, not so much preaching, but just telling stories that people can relate to, people that of all walks of life can relate to. So I'm putting effort into that. And as it turns out, The Deacon might end up being a film. I'm really surprised, but there is some interest in turning it into a film. So who knows?
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Let me put in a plug. If I could get a small role, that's all I'm asking. Just a small role, and then and then, and then walk the red carpet in the premiere. That's
I,
all.
I,
I'm not asking for
Absolutely.
much. You know,
I'll
just a
make
small
sure that I'll put a plug in for you to be able to have. They've been asking me who do you want to play, and I have no idea really. My wife has an idea that
Of
Gabriel
course.
Byrne would be a good person.
So let's have a look at your website here now. So, The Deacon, An Unexpected Life by Thomas Fargnoli. So, persons can buy it on Amazon. Yes.
Yes, you can get right over
They
to
can read
Amazon,
more about the book here.
find out about me, find out about the
Yes.
book. There's even a section on some magic.
Awesome.
If you click up in the magic, uh, you'll see me do some magic
Mhm.
tricks. And what I try to do with these
Well,
magic
we
tricks,
want to see you do one now.
oh,
We
one
want to
online,
see you do one now before we go.
okay.
Yeah, let me come
Well,
back to you. Let's see you do one live. Let me remove this. Hold on. I want to see you do one live so that we can end the show off with some magic. Eeh.
okay,
Let's
okay.
let me put you on. Yes, let's go.
So what I try to do with my magic is tell stories, whether I was visiting someone in the hospital
Mhm.
or just talking to someone about the relationship with Christ. For example, we talked about that. I
Mhm.
would bring out a magic trick to enhance that. For example, I would show two little red
Mhm.
balls. And I would say, this could be your relationship with Christ, you and Christ, right? And no matter what happens, and they would give me their hand, and I would take I could do this reverse. I would take the ball and I would place it solidly in their hand. Then I would take the other ball, right, and I would put it in my hand. So now I have one ball in their
Mhm.
hand, right? One ball's in their hand and one ball's in my hand. But I open
Mhm.
my
Mhm.
hand, it's gone. But I says, open your hand. They open their hand and they have both balls. And I said, you see, you can never lose the relationship with Christ because he's always with you. You may not feel his presence all the time, but he's always with you. So that's the type of magic, very close up, and I try to relate it to the situation. And on the
Oh
website, on the
my
website,
God.
I do all kinds of stuff. But that's pretty much what I do with the magic these days. When my daughter used to help me,
That is so cool.
I used to tie my daughter up when she
How did
was
you get
3 years
those two
old.
balls?
When my daughter was 3, I
How
would
did you
tie
get
her
those
up.
two balls in your hand? What did you do?
When my daughter was 3 years old, I would tie her up, put her in handcuffs, put her in a bag, and then tie the bag. And she would try to get out. It took her a while. But then when she was 9, she got out in 3 seconds and actually won a trip to Las Vegas and performed that escape with Lance Burton. in the Monte Carlo casino. It was a lot of fun. And and now she's a first grade
My
teacher.
God.
Does a little
I don't know
magic here.
how do you saw people. I am always amazed how they saw people in three pieces and separate them. Oh,
I'm not like the
I
master
can't
magician.
do that.
I keep the secrets. I don't give up any secrets. But yeah, this
You see what I
that's a good
mean? You see what I mean, Tom? No, no. So when we go off air, you have to teach me how to be a magician, so I can do some of these things on my show.
Well, the best thing of all the tricks I do, the best thing is these little sponge balls. They're like $7, and I have paid thousands of dollars for magic tricks over the years. But when someone opens their hand and expects to see one but sees two, that means that reaction, if they were 5 years old or 90 years old, is amazing to me.
I'm
And
telling you,
you could
I
make up
am
so
like a
many.
child in a candy store.
All right, well, I'll send you a
It
link to how
brings
you
out,
can. Yeah, if you go out to a magic site and
yeah.
look for the sponge balls, you can get them, like I said, $5 or $7, and it comes with instructions.
Oh, I don't want no instructions. I want you to show me. I want to
Oh,
be
you want
clapping
personal
and going
instruction?
crazy and being sword and
You want personal instruction? Well,
yeah.
let's see. What island are you in the Caribbean? Where are you at exactly
I'm
in
in
the
Trinidad
Caribbean?
and Tobago.
Trinidad. Okay, yeah.
Yes,
Well,
Trinidad and Tobago.
yeah, there you go. Next time I'm in Trinidad or somewhere in the Caribbean, maybe we can hook up and I'll teach you a magic trick. Actually, I'm going to
That's right. Just don't saw me and don't tie me up.
Well, how are you going to learn
Just
these
don't
things?
saw me or tie me up.
How can you learn how to do them if I don't practice?
On me. That's okay. That's okay. I will saw you and I will tie
Oh,
you up.
I see.
See what happens next. But Tom, this has been a pleasure. Let me just bring back your website here and showcase the persons how they can get your book on the website. So you go to
Yeah.
Thomas Fargnoli, but it has a G.com. So thank you so much, Thomas, for
Well,
being
it's
on
my
Between the
pleasure.
Lines and sharing your experience and your decisions, because I know there are people out here who have really tough decisions to make and they feel that they might be swallowed up by the earth or it's the end of their life, but you're still here to prove otherwise. So thank
Yeah.
you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you for having me, Corinne.